Roman skirmishers were troops who moved out in front of the main force, probing the enemy line for weaknesses. But they chose to attack just as Fritigern's cavalry reinforcements arrived. The skirmish became a full-blown battle.
Gothic cavalry was nomadic, and that would mean that although the horses themselves would not be as large or as well protected as Central European horses and cavalrymen, they would be more mobile.
Fritigern's new cavalry cut through the skirmishers and sent them into headlong retreat. The battle had started so suddenly that the Romans were still getting into formation.
Valens had marched for a number of hours that day. It was hot. His men had no water. If he had have stopped, assembled his army in a uniform manner, then he probably would have had a lot better luck.
An 8-mile march means, of course, that his army arrives relatively tired. They're hungry. It's a very hot day. By the time they get there, it's gone midday.
Sensing weakness, Fritigern launched a cavalry attack along the entire Roman line. There was chaos in the ranks. The whole Roman army seemed to be in retreat, but then slowly began to rally as soldiers shouted encouragement to one another. The fighting spread like wildfire, with thousands of arrows and javelins raining down on the Roman ranks. The Goths held their formation, but the Roman army began to disintegrate into separate fighting units.
They had the big disadvantage that they were surrounded, and they were hot.
The retreating Roman horsemen raced back through their own ranks, causing panic among the remaining cavalry, most of which galloped away. Fritigern's infantry was drawn up in great columns. Now they charged headlong and smashed into the Roman ranks like human battering rams. Hand-to-hand slaughter began.
The key to remember, they were an individual, tribal force that put more emphasis on individual kills, individual prowess in battle, rather than marching in time, advancing on order.
A handful of Roman cavalry who remained on the left wing were forced back by the Goths and fled in confusion. With the Roman left flank now fully exposed, the Goth cavalry moved in. Without cavalry support, the Roman army was being pressed together on all sides.
The battle was at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. It was hot. It was 100 degrees Fahrenheit. Soldiers started at dawn, force marched, hadn't eaten, no noon meal. And they were surrounded and cut down.
A first-hand account about the last moments of the battle were recorded by the Roman officer and historian, Ammianus.
Dust arose in such clouds as to hide the sky, which rang with fearful shouts. In consequence, it was impossible to see the enemy's missiles in flight and dodge them. All found their mark and dealt death on every side. The barbarians poured on in huge columns, trampling down horse and man and crushing our ranks, so to make orderly retreat impossible.
Ammianus has a very vivid description of heads flying, limbs cut off, and the chaos, the dust, the panic, the shouting, the screaming of what happens when you have several thousand men who know they're going to die and there's no way out.
The slaughter was terrible. By the end of the battle, 2/3 of the Roman army, at least 10,000 men, had died. Among them was Valens.
The emperor died either on the battlefield or he got away a brief moment to a farmhouse nearby. That was set fire and he was cremated. And anyway, he didn't see the sunset on the 9th of August.
An emperor was dead, and the Goths were victorious. When Gratian heard of the defeat, he turned and headed back to his own Western Empire. But he could not turn his back on the Gothic threat. The victory at Adrianople showed other tribes that the Romans could be defeated and that there was land to be grabbed within the empire. After Adrianople, the Roman legions never regained their old dominance over the barbarian invaders.
Adrianople was significant for a variety of reasons. One, a Roman emperor himself was at the battle and was killed in the battle, and his body wasn't even found. And it gave the impression that East would not work with the West, as happened at this battle, and that a tribal, nomadic people in a battle of shock, hand-to-hand warfare, showed greater battle prowess and individual courage. So it sent a ripple effect through the emperor that either Romans could not or would not fight to protect their borders.
For the next 30 years, the conflict raged on in Turkey, neither side capable of defeating the other outright. But the invading tribes steadily grew in number, until in 409, the Goths finally broke through. They poured west into Italy, and in 410 captured and burned the city of Rome. 700 years of Roman civilization finally came to an end.